What's up, everybody? We are back here at Edgemont Elegance. It is Wednesday, June the 25th, and we have a ton of things to show you. We've been on site already this week doing our internal pre-installation walkthrough, catching all the mistakes that have been made before we start insulating. We're going to show you what's going on inside and what we've done to catch that. Landscaping that is looking really polished and safe to work on, which is great. We've got sewer mains in. There's so much to show you. Let's just stop talking about it and jump on in. Come on, let's go. Holy smokes, we have got a lot of stuff going on. We are getting ready for installation. Why is that a big deal? Once we get to installation, it is a sprint to the finish line. It is so important to get everything dialed in and ready to go before you insulate. Because once you insulate, as soon as the insulators are out the door, the drywallers are right behind them. And everything just goes from there. So we, at least here at Sprucehill, think it is critically important to get everything 98, 99% perfect prior to insulating so we don't have any problems in the future. So coming around here, on Monday, we were here doing what we call our internal walkthrough before we insulate. And we identified a number of things. So, you know, we've got drain pipes that are sticking out of the wall. Probably not a big deal, but nonetheless identified. We have identified wires that needed to get dealt with up here. I don't actually have the list of all of the things that the red dots are reflective of, but I thought it was a pretty smart idea by our project manager on this project to take a spray bomb and paint red all of the things that need to be thought about or concerned. Now, one thing that came up in our walkthrough, which I think I flagged, and then I learned that it wasn't something to flag about, was that there was no vent for the dryer. It's like, well, how the hell is the dryer gonna vent? And then kind of sort of as I drove away, I was like, maybe it isn't a big deal. And so, sorry about that, people working above. The reason why it's not a big deal is we are using a condensating dryer on our dryers on this home. Now, why do you want to use a condensating dryer? Air tightness. If you don't have to have a vent pushing air outside, you're not worried about pulling air from outside in so that your dryer works correctly, number one. Number two is it's more airtight, right? You don't have the dryer flapper that has to open, and those things are never airtight when they're closed. No dryer vent, no issue. Now, the other benefit is, I don't know if you've watched any of those YouTube videos where the guy's got like the little brushy thing on a big flexible rod and they're like cleaning out dryer vents. If you haven't, look it up. Dryer vent cleaning videos. Anyway, so no more venting to clean. Lowers your fire risk as well. Pretty good idea, right? Something to think about for your house. Kyle was just asking me, like, do some houses need dryer vents? Or it's not the house, it's the dryer. The appliance itself, right? It's a condensing dryer. So any of the steam and whatnot is actually condensed inside the dryer unit, and then that condensation is put down the plumbing drain. Traditional dryer is blowing air through a pipe outside that has the warm, moist air. Like, you know, during the wintertime, we've all seen the dryer working where, you know, it's puking steam out the side of the house. While with a condensating dryer, there's no steam, nothing going out of the house. It's water going down the drain. So these things are done. These things have just been identified as areas that need fire stopping. So we just need to stuff some Roxol in there and life is good. All right, in here, we are looking real good. Again, this still needs to get sorted out. This is looking good. That's looking good. So, you know, one of the things a lot of contractors don't think about is backing for stuff. We obsess about it here at Sprucehill, right? We want to make sure there's backing for the shower wand so that that is solid. And, you know, because this is going to be one of those slidey bars for the shower head. Well, the bar is not going to slide, but the shower head on the bar is going to slide, you know? But this could also double as a grass bar because it's solid, right? Same thing here. This is all plywood here. So anybody that wants to put a grab bar in here, good to go. So we got lots of backing here for the television mount, right? Doesn't matter what mount this client decides to use. There is solid black blocking back there for them to mount their TV. Life is good. You know, one of the things our team did when we were doing the internal walkthrough on Monday was open and close all the windows and make sure that they open and close. You know, I'll tell you one time where windows tend to get screwed up is the siding guys. Sometimes what they do is they put the flashing down too far. So when you go to open the window, the flashing on the window actually stops the window from opening. So Chase is in here redoing this skylight opening here. It used to come straight down off the bottom of this skylight. And when we were here on Monday, I was like, this just looks dumb, right? Because the top of the skylight is coming down plumb, which looks good. But down here is coming in. And so the disadvantage is if you make the skylight hole like this, it only lets in so much light. Whereas if you make the skylight hole like this, now all of that light can pour in more easily, right? So any chance you have to flare your skylight opening as much as possible, I recommend. It just allows more natural light to get in, and it looks cool. Right, Chase? Yes. Yes, good answer. All right. All right, so we got Anne crushing some blocking here. She's doing grab rail blocking down the stairs. We'll see what that looks like in a second. She's an awesome carpenter. Well, so is Chase. The whole team is amazing. Let's talk about thermostat locations. The thermostat had been previously mounted over here. Why is that a bad idea? We've got, even though it's insulated, we've got a duct here that's going to be delivering cold and warm air depending on the time of year. So this thermostat is going to be picking up artificially false readings because it's going to pick up the heat coming from behind it, or cold coming from behind it, coming from this duct. So we don't want to have the thermostat in the same stud space as this duct. It really needs to be over here. But then we looked up and we saw up here that there is a vent there. Well, if this is here and that's there, I mean, that's basically going to be blowing warm and cold air directly on the thermostat. Not only do we need to move the thermostat from here to here, we need to move that vent from there to up there so it's blowing away from the thermostat. This is something that would likely been figured out after the fact, after roughing and everything else. But I'll tell you what, when you work with a pro like Sprucehill, we catch this and we fix it before it becomes a problem. I don't guarantee to catch every problem, but we really try hard to catch most. Door contractor coming through, measuring up all the rough openings for all the doors to make sure everything is correct. I don't know if we talked about it enough, but I'm gonna continue talking about it whenever I'm here and any projects at Rough-In. Insulate your hot water pipes, people. Insulate your hot water pipes. You are going to save yourself money. I also strongly urge you to put in a recirculating loop so that you're not having to waste water. Recirculation loop, insulate your water pipes. Everything's in pretty good shape in here. Again, one of the items that we caught is that the HVAC contractor had these outlets really close to the exterior wall, which generally speaking is fine. This home is going to have crown molding throughout, and that crown molding is going to stick into the room about 5 inches. So if this thing is less than 5 inches away from the exterior wall here, it's going to be in the crown molding, and that's bad. So just simply moving this in, then you don't have to worry about it. The next thing is I obsess about trying to make sure that these are in the middle of the corner. And what I mean by that is if it's 10 inches from this wall, it's 10 inches from that wall. You know, these little details people don't think about and people don't realize when they come into a home that's been well built. It's a sum of all of these little things that when you come into a home that's been really well built, it just feels good. And I think it feels good because you know that the person that built it cared about what they were doing, right? We care, so we take care of these things. You might think that this looks really narrow and dumb. What will happen is it's gonna get ½ inch of den shield on both sides. So right now it's 2 inches wide with a den shield or hardy backer, whatever the guys decide to use. Now we're 3 inches, ½ an inch on each side. And then you're gonna have your tile on top of that, roughly another ½ inch on either side. So once this is finished, it will be 4 inches wide. And that's a perfect shower curb, in my humble opinion. All right, so here you can see the team is installing the backing for the handrail, right? There's nothing worse than one of those crappy handrails that kind of wiggles in the wall. If you install solid backing here, you're gonna have a solid handrail. It's really all there is to it. Solid gets solid. You know, we were talking about backing, boom, backing. What is this backing for, Kyle?
I'm gonna guess a sink.
Towel bar. Because again, what's more annoying than having a towel bar that flops in your wall? Put some solid backing in here, solid towel bar. So we have here the panels. These guys, even though I know they're not live, I still refuse to touch my hand to them because this is the danger zone. You can touch here. You can touch here. You can touch here and here and here, but you can't touch here. That's like when they're actually live, that's where the power comes through, is out here. And then these are the neutrals. This is your grounds out here. And so that's what that's all about. Again, you've got all of these wires all have, looks like all the same person did all of it, but all of the titles for all of the different circuits are on here. And then here, backup generator. So this is going to be an automatic transfer switch. And what that is going to do is make it so that when the power goes out, the generator kicks on. This, boom, has a switch that takes the power, because this is going to generally get power from this main panel. This is the generator panel. So when this panel stops giving power to this panel, this thing senses a voltage drop. When it senses a voltage drop, it tells the generator outside to fire up. Generator outside fires up for a minute, so it warms up. Then there's this really loud switch. I don't know what it's called. Sorry you can comment below and mock me. It's fine. I don't mind. But there's a switch in there. Boom, it goes. And then the power for this starts coming from the generator instead of from here. And then this talks to that. And when it feels that there's electricity coming from here and the power is back on, same thing happens. Boom, the switch goes in the opposite direction. And then the power for this panel goes back to coming from that panel, and you're back on normal power. So now we've got something solid for the clips for the glass to go in here, so that when you have your shower glass in here, it doesn't fall in. And because we have a slab floor anyways, we just left out this area here so that this is going to be a basement suite, guys, a basement suite. It's going to have a walk-in shower. Not a lot of extra work to not pour a concrete in this area here, right? But you just think ahead. And you're always better off to keep this, sunken area bigger than you need it, because you can always build it in. It's a pain in the ass to make it bigger, right? Easy to make it smaller. So pro tip, make your shower base 6-7 inches bigger than you need it to be, because you can always pack this out with dry pack. I do want to talk about this, and this isn't done exactly right, but we were looking at this at another project. And so this is how we set up our pendants. So this is the power to the pendant or sconce that's going to go here. And so what will happen is a drywall, this will get buried in the wall, and this is going to ultimately get stapled up here. And what's going to happen is this will get drywalled. And once this is drywalled, and once everything is done in here, the electricians will come in here with a 4-inch hole saw, boom, make a hole in the drywall. They'll then take a pancake box, which is only about 1/2 inch deep. They will mount that in here, and they'll figure out where they want to drill a 2-inch hole. And they'll drill a 2-inch hole, and then they'll be able to easily fish out this wire. You could even do a 3-inch hole, right? I mean, you put it in the middle. As long as the pancake box has something to sit against, you're good to go. And so then you can easily pull that wire through, and instant, perfect sconce and pendants. It works, trust me. So, as we're getting closer and closer, these are the things that I start to see. And really, if I was a better builder, I would actually walk through the house at this stage with a hammer at all times, because this is the sort of thing that drives the drywallers crazy. And the trades all do it. Like electricians do it to put pipe on the wall so that they can pull their wire and whatever else. I mean, look at this. 1, 2, 3. Like, what the heck, Kyle? What the heck?
No good.
So in here, we've got our plenum or bulkhead built in here for we needed to have something here to hide the duct for the hood fan that's going to go in here. So that's good to go, and that's going to work perfect. But we wanted to keep something consistent and also reduce the overall cabinet height, which is going to keep the cabinet cost down. So by creating these bulkheads here, now we don't need to have an extra foot, because it may not look like it, but that's tippy toe. If I'm on my tippy toe, that's 8 feet on my middle finger, just about. So these are 9-foot ceilings. All right, so when we were here last, there were trenches everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. Well, that's all been inspected now. It's all been filled in. So you'll remember that through here, there was gas line going underneath back towards the garage. It's now all covered in. That yellow tape that we talked about has been installed. So when somebody goes to dig underneath this driveway at some point in time, they will see the yellow tape and know, hey, there's a gas pipe underneath here. Continuing back here, I mean, if you remember, back here, there was just trenches everywhere. It was the land of trenches. And so no more trenches. And the client is putting in, he owns a siding company. And so they're putting in these super cool fence across the back of the house here. I am very excited to see what that looks like. But like, how amazing is this backyard, right? Nice, flat, clean, ready to go. And when you have the site looking like this, it just makes life better for everybody working on site. Really, really happy with how this is looking and how this is coming together. God, we do good work. So in here, we've now got all the garage slabs poured. One of the guys on the team noticed that there's a corner here, and they flagged that as a concern. Now, you, my loyal viewer, why the hell would we care? Here's why. These corners like this are where the cracks always start in your concrete. And do you know there's two types of concrete? One is concrete that has cracks in it. The other type of concrete is concrete that's gonna have cracks in it. It always cracks. That's a joke. It's a terrible dad joke, but I like it. So nonetheless, we are thinking that it would be a smart idea to actually score the concrete down here, because this is, if this concrete's gonna crack, it's gonna crack because of this outside corner, always. So if we just bring that down the middle here, that will reduce that. You know, one of the things that you can do if you are so obsessed about it is, if this outside corner here was radius, if it's round, it has less of a tendency to crack. But anytime you have a sharp 90-degree corner like this, like 90% of the time, this is where cracks are gonna start. Just is what it is. We are here at the window well that we had to reform to give proper egress for this bedroom down here. And so it's a bit of a funky design, but it is what it is. And nice big window well. We've got a little bit of a shelf here, so this is gonna also act as a place where people can step up and get out. But when this was back here, there just wasn't enough space, especially for a fat ass like me, to get between the chimney and the concrete. So now there's more than enough space for somebody to safely get out of the house. And modifying or doing anything to the house was just gonna be an atrocity. This stuff is damp proofing, and we damp proof all of our projects. We use a Sprucehill dimple membrane on all of our foundations. This stuff, if you're not using it on your foundations, you're asking for your home to leak in 20 years. You're saying like, hey, please God, let my house leak. Put on the Sprucehill, you're not gonna regret it. This stuff prevents leaking. And the way that it does is, water is super lazy, right? It's gonna always look for the path of least resistance. So here, by having a dimple membrane up against the hard concrete, the water is gonna flow in between the dimples and down to the drain tile below. Whereas if you didn't have this and your foundation cracks or there's any sort of potential issue, the water is gonna work its way inside because the pressure is gonna drive it inside. With this dimple membrane, I don't think you can ever guarantee that your basement's never gonna leak, but this makes a big difference. On this home, we ended up having to have 2 sewer lines come out of the house in order to make everything work. Unfortunately, beams, walls, stuff like that just made life more challenging than you would otherwise hope for. Here's one of the main sewer lines coming out of the home. And so these guys here are gonna be clean outs. So this is gonna have to be carefully hidden once this is all done in the future, because who wants to see that? But you need to have a clean out so that you can clean out your sewer main. Now this has all been bedded in gravel so that we keep proper slope. Now, for all of you backseat contractors there, remember you need a minimum of 1/4 inch a foot for 4-inch ABS. And that's our code in Vancouver, BC. I don't know what it is where you live. Leave a comment and let me know. I'd be curious to see if it's different elsewhere. But here, 4-inch ABS, 1/4 inch a foot of slope is what you need. Coming back here, we've got our sumps in. So there's a ton of work that goes into placing these guys and getting these done. So what's gonna happen here is, because the basement is so low, what will happen is this sump will catch the drain tile only from the basement. Drain tile only from the basement. That's gonna get pumped up into this pipe here and into this, what we would call a secondary sump. Primary sump, secondary sump. Now, that drain tile is going to get pumped into here. The rainwater leaders are going to come through these 4-inch PVC pipes that are behind here. Now, what's missing is the outflow pipe, and that's because we have to put in a bit of a drainage field out front here. So there's going to be a pipe slightly lower here, right? It's got to be lower. And that's going to come out into a field out here. What we've got going on here is the other drain pipe, and that's going out past the stairwell, and then it goes in at the back there. So this comes out and down into the drain tile here. But this is what it looks like in your front yard under the ground. This is where the stuff that leaves your body and comes through the sink and whatever else goes down here, and this is your sewer. That's what it looks like in the ground, in case you care. But I've been doing this long enough to know that, like, even though something seems obvious, people still somehow find a way to screw it up. Your Y always needs to be oriented in the direction of the flow, right? If this is going backwards, then the water, as it's coming out of here, is gonna shoot back up this way and try to go uphill, and it's gonna have to do a U-turn to go down. So we want everything to flow down. We don't wanna be going back uphill and then down. That's going to cause problems. You know, you have toilet paper and things like that build up, disaster. I haven't seen it actually happen. I've heard of it happening. But you know what? Now you, my loyal viewer, know what to look for with your sewer line. The other thing that we do here at Sprucehill, and we showed that at another project as well, is we always sleeve our water main. So this big O, this is the absolute crap of the crap when it comes to drain tile. Old homes built in the 80s and 90s have this absolute trash around the outside of their house and coming up for rainwater leaders. Why is it garbage? Well, because roots grow into it so easily. Now, roots can grow into any pipe with holes in it, and they do grow into PVC pipes. The problem is, as soon as you try to put a rotor-rooter auger or anything like that into this stuff, it gets shredded, like instantly. It's just, I mean, it's just super flexible. It's just garbage. But it makes a great sleeve for a water main. And why do we do that? Well, should anything happen to the water main in the next 50 or 60 years, all somebody has to do is dig a hole there, and then they can just pull a new piece of pipe through this sleeve. The other thing that it does is it protects the water main, because inevitably, and you know, we work really hard with our trades to make sure it doesn't happen, you get a rock that's kind of sort of not even that sharp, but like this. And if that's hard up against the actual water pipe there, over time, that can cause the pipe to leak. So by sleeving the water main, you reduce your chances of having a leak. Well, that's a wrap on today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a custom home or a renovation you'd like to build, we'd love to build it for you. Find us here. Hopefully that worked. Listen, I'm really on a mission to become internet famous, so I'd really appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to our channel. In the meantime, stay awesome. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye now.